I spent the fall semester of my senior year in college studying in France. It was a great opportunity to put 8 years of classroom French to the test and to see what it would be like to live somewhere other than Midwestern America. And when I got there, it turned out that they had pretty much the same stuff in France as we did back home in Ohio. Only, as that noted world traveler Vince Vega noted, it was the little differences. For example, at McDonald's, you could get a glass of wine with your Royale with cheese. And you didn't have to be 21, you only had to be 18. Yogurt was something you drank out of a bottle instead of eating with a spoon. And it was perfectly acceptable, in fact, almost compulsory, to greet your friends and acquaintances on the street by giving them a French kiss. That's the thank you very much. Yeah. And holidays, of course, were a little different too. They don't do Halloween in France, for example. But I and the other American students in my group were very happy to trade candy and costumes for the long weekend that we got in honor of Toussaint, or All Saints' Day, on November 1st. And a few weeks later, we got another long weekend for Armistice Day. And when you're an American student studying in France, a long weekend is your cue to bust out your Eurail pass and take a road trip to a nearby country to collect more cultural experiences and more stamps in your passport. But then it was Thanksgiving Day. And back home, our families were sitting down to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and preparing for the traditional turkey feast. But in France, it was just another Thursday, and we were expected to go to class as usual. Quel bummer. But our translation teacher, Madame Fontaine, took pity on us poor forlorn Americans, and she sugarcoated that day's lesson by having us translate Art Buchwald's famous column, you may have read it, where he explains Thanksgiving to the French. And in it, he says, it's the one day of the year where the Americans eat better than the French do. And we got our chance to do that after all. That evening, the local Chamber of Commerce put on a traditional Thanksgiving dinner for the American students in town. And not only that, they held it at a wine cave. And they did a pretty credible job. The tables were all nicely decorated with cut-out pilgrims and turkeys and horns of plenty. And at each place setting, there was a little printed menu promising all the traditional dishes. There was dinde rôtie, roast turkey, haricots verts, green beans, and even patates douces, sweet potatoes. There was another item on the menu, though, that was unfamiliar to most of us, but once we found out what it was, we got on board pretty quick. It was vin à discrétion. Translation, all the wine you can drink. And we were well into our second glass of vin à discrétion when the food arrived. And as we had come to expect, there were little differences. The turkey wasn't whole bird. It was pounded flat, and it was a little processed. There weren't any dinner rolls, but there was sliced baguette. It wasn't too bad. And the sweet potatoes were nowhere to be found. In their place was a heap of French fries. Whatever. Our French hosts were good enough to provide us with a traditional meal, so who were we to complain, right? And if you didn't like the food, you could have some more vin à discrétion. And then someone sampled a French fry. Oh, these taste funny. Someone else tried one. Oh man, the kitchen messed up. They put sugar instead of salt. We had a good drunken laugh over that, and a little more vin à discrétion. And then one of our group, who had had a little less vin à discrétion than the rest of us, consulted the menu and did the linguistic math. Guys, I don't think the sugar was a mistake. I think these French fries are supposed to be the patates douces, the sweet potatoes. We had another drunken laugh over that, and some sweet French fries, and a little more vin à discrétion. And that lost in translation Thanksgiving dinner It was my favorite cultural experience of the whole year. And it was educational, too. The next morning, I learned another new expression, gueule de bois. Translation, hangover. Thank you.